Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, which is Kelly's Kidney Crisis. I know it's been a bit of a gap since the last video, but I kind of had a week in hiatus because I was feeling really unwell, really drained. I mean, there are going to be times you are going to see me looking very, very rough, but unfortunately last week I was quite nauseous as well, and throwing up on the internet, it's not really my jam, to be honest, so I figured I'd save you from that. Well, you're with me again today and my lovely Jeff. And we've had a little bit of a crisis today because my blood pressure dropped very, very low for a few seconds. So unfortunately, I had to have some of my fluids given back to me. Now, on a Monday, I like to be able to take as much fluid off as I can because when a weekend has been, I have 2 days off dialysis as opposed to 1, which means, you know, there's more fluid build up in my body, there's more toxins in my body, so I try and get as much out as I can during my Monday session. But when my blood pressure drops ridiculously low, it makes me go blind. It goes hazy and blind, and your hearing goes like, you're hearing everybody muffled like a wind tunnel with pillows over the mouth. It's really creepy. And so they just had to give me 200 mils worth of fluid back just to get me out of that. So we're just stuck at around 3 mils instead of the 4, but we'll get there. Well, litres, sorry, not mils. I don't even know where I was going with that one. But fluid is a very big and scary thing because it can build up and it can make breathing really, really difficult, and it can make you feel very ill and weighed down, and it's not a very nice thing. And the main reasons that I have fluid build up is because what some people don't actually know or realise is that I don't pee. And some people didn't even know that. I mean, and I'm talking medical professions here. I've had doctors turn around and say to me, oh, so have you urinated today? Or how much have you urinated? And I'm like, I don't produce urine, unfortunately, because that's what your kidney does. Your kidney produces your urine, like cleaning out your toxins. So whatever's left, that's basically urine. It comes down your ureters into your bladder at the bottom, and then you empty it out and all your toxins are gone. My body can't do that, so it'll build and it'll build and it'll build, and hence if I didn't do this for at least a week, I would die. And that's just the long and short of it. If I don't do this every other day, I wouldn't be here to entertain with my witty personality. But I must admit though, my daughter was quite amazed when she found out that mummy doesn't pee. And I'll never forget, because she was in the car, she was like, you don't pee? And I'm like, no, I don't, sweetheart. And then she turned around and said to me, Mum, I don't mean to be rude. And I'm like, yes, sweetheart. And she's like, if you don't wee, then do you still poo? It was a funny question, and I had to explain the urinary tract situation to her and how they're different things. So she's quite enlightened for a 12-year-old, I'll give you that much. Well, basically, I do want to take off from my last session, which is when I told you that I got diagnosed and told I only had one functioning kidney and that it was damaged by the looks of things. So I had to have a stent in before I had the baby because they wanted to make sure there was no pressure too much on the tube that goes down from the weight of the baby to block more off. And they put it in while I was awake, and it was agony. I'll never, ever, ever forget that day. And it was so painful, and the doctor, she was a woman doctor, and she was high up, so you don't call her a doctor, she was called Miss, which I don't get. It's like, you're a doctor, so wouldn't you want the doctor title, but actually Miss is higher up than it? I don't quite get it, but she was very proud of it. And I was wiggling because I was 7 months pregnant. It was agony. I was screaming on the table, and I remember her in a very posh and mean kind of voice, which was, oh, shut up, it doesn't hurt that much. Trust me, bitch, it did. Excuse my language, but it did. So once that was in, I was left alone for a while. And then 5 weeks before she was due, my blood pressure went through the roof. And I was diagnosed with preeclampsia. So they tried for 24 hours to bring the BP down, but it wouldn't come down. So then they decided, we're going to have to start you off. She's going to be early, but we'll be prepared. I was scared, they're always telling you have to go all the way, and you just think an early baby, you just want it to be safe. And they took me downstairs and they tried to start me off. And I was in labour for 24 hours, but because it was too early, she didn't want to go nowhere. I got like contractions. Oh, that was fun. Bit of gas and air that I may have swapped around with my partner at the time and my mum, and may have said it was like a peace pipe. Wonderful time. But after 24 hours of labour, she wasn't coming. She wasn't ready. She was too early. So they decided to do a cesarean section. And she was born. And I got to see her for a few seconds because they rested her on my chest, and it was a girl. I knew she was going to be a girl. Wasn't told, I just knew it. And they said, oh, look, her nostrils are flaring, we're going to take her to neonatal. And they were keeping very close eye on me, obviously, because they wanted to make sure no extra damage was done. Because if the damage was done, dialysis would have to start a lot earlier than they ever planned. The thing is, my family at home, well, not my husband and my kids, but my mum and my sisters and whatnot, are under the illusion, bless them, that the reason I'm in kidney failure now is because I had the kids that I had. But the thing that they don't realise is the fact that, well, yes, it happened a bit quicker, but I was already told by the doctor I was going to lose my kidney that was left, and I would end up on dialysis anyway, even if it was at a later age. And the thing is, to me, if I left it and didn't have children and then got to a point where I needed to be on dialysis, what was I fighting for? I would be older, so I would be in a weaker and harder situation to get a transplant and be successful. So being younger does have its good sides as opposed to bad sides, If I was older, it would be more dangerous. And two, I wouldn't have the wonderful little human beings that I had to fight for. Because I'm not going to lie, this gets hard. It gets... And I don't want to get emotional on here, but it gets hard. There have been days where I have looked up on the internet, would it be painful if I just stopped dialyzing? Would it hurt when I die? Because you just get to a point where it's so hard sometimes. But then I look at those babies I chose to have, and they make me say, you know what? No. My kids aren't going to see me give up. No way. I will fight every day for them. And I wish my family would understand that there's something to be grateful about, not bitter. And I love them more than life itself. And I say to them every day, I was born to be your mother. Yes, I've gone through a lot. I suffer a lot. I've had more operations than I can count. But you know what? I'm still here with a smile on my face. And it could be a lot worse. So I had my daughter, and then they were finally able to do the tests. That was kind of fun. They get to put a nice little thin plastic tubing into your pee hole, your ureter, as they would say, and they would fill my bladder filled with water to the brim, and then they had an x-ray machine on me at the same time to see what happens in the body. And it turned out that I was diagnosed with renal reflux, which means when your kidneys produce urine, it comes from the kidneys down into your bladder, and they have these little things called ureters, and they clamp to stop it from going back up, and then you empty it out. My ureters on both sides don't clamp, and I got a really bad urine infection known as, here we go, you ready for a medical term? Chronic pyelonephritis. It is a very nasty urine infection, and it basically turned my urine into acid. And because they didn't clamp, they went back up. I lost my left one when I was about 2 years old, they said, and my right one was scarred to bits. It was on the way out. So, and it was good to have an answer, because I just couldn't figure out why. You know, I was reading up all these different diagnoses before I got told, you know, was it polycystic kidneys, or was it due to diabetes that I'd not been diagnosed with or something. And luckily it's not any of those things, but I do have renal reflux, and it's something they felt I would need my kids to be checked on, because it would be genetic if I handed it down. Possible, not definite, just possible. And to skip to that one, my son, he has reflux only on one side, but he was diagnosed from birth, so we could keep a really close eye. If there's any chance that he could have a urine infection, we put him on antibiotics straight away, and he will never be like I am. But that's why I say to you guys, if you have a urine infection or you think you've got one, don't just say, oh, it'll go in a day. You know, be careful, because your kidneys do so much. You wouldn't believe how much they do. I have to sit on this giant machine that's as big as I am to do the job of things this big. You know? And people sometimes don't understand that. Like when I say I'm in kidney failure, certain people don't take the urgency of it, you know. If I said I was in heart failure, I mean, they'd be, whoa, or, you know, lung failure, things like that. But your kidneys do everything. You know, you take a tablet, your kidney helps filter it through the body so it doesn't build up to kind of make you OD. But not meaning to. You could take your tablets 6 hours apart. But if your body can't urinate and get all those toxins out on a regular basis, that builds and builds and builds, and that makes your blood very toxic. And that's what could kill me. But I have a wonderful team here. I have a wonderful doctor. I mean, my first Dr. Loudon, his name was, and he was a wonderful man. Always used to say to me, you're one of my favourite patients, you always have a smile on your face no matter what I tell you. But I'm just like, sometimes I just don't know what else to do but smile, because if I just sat there crying, I wouldn't move out of my room anytime soon. So I want to show my kids what it means to fight. You know, what it means to just take it head on. Like certain people will say, oh, you know, oh, I've got problems, and oh, it's nothing compared to yours. But you know what? You know, you only know your own pain. And yes, I'm going through a lot. I have gone through a lot, and we have got to go through that over these sessions. But at least I got a diagnosis, renal reflux. I knew exactly why. I knew exactly the fact that it was going to deteriorate, and I was told that I would need a new kidney one day in my lifetime, and it wouldn't be something that would not happen. It was just adamant it was going to happen. And they told me if I wanted to be a mother again, to give my daughter a sibling sooner rather than later, because obviously the older I get, the worse it gets, and the more dangerous it can become. So I went straight away for my second daughter, which was Hannah. And then she's only a year and a half younger than her sister. And they were very, very close growing up, because they were so close in age. But you know what? Worth it. So worth it, because they make me fight hard. And they make me try and show them the people that I want them to be, hopefully. But please understand that your kidneys provide so much to you for your body. The fluids you drink, you're allowed to drink how much you want. I'm only allowed 1.5 liters of fluid a day. That is it. So if you're feeling parched, too bad. You know, that is hard. You know, if you're thirsty, and then, you know, potassium, very, very dangerous. And the way I'm going to explain this at the end of this session today, I'm going to leave you on the fact that I am fighting to get consumers to put how much potassium is in their food on their wrappers. Just like you would sugar and glucose and all the rest of it, and peanuts, because potassium is deadly, especially to a kidney failure patient. When a person is on death row, and this is the only way I can describe it, when a man is sentenced or a woman is sentenced to the lethal injection, the very last injection they get is a massive dose of potassium, and that is what kills them, stops the heart. If my potassium levels get too high, my heart will stop. And I have gone through a lot to do with potassium, which we'll also get into. But I am fighting for consumers to please put it on your wrappers. I have sent emails to companies, and the only people that ever really got back to me was actually Ferrero Rocher. So, well done guys, at least you're trying. And I just want to say, I hope you guys tune in again next time, and we'll follow on from when I had Phoebe and had Hannah, well, while I was pregnant with Hannah, and we'll get through to the next part of the story. But I hope this gives you a little insight into the whole situation of where I am with my kidneys and how much they actually do in a way. You don't really know until somebody tells you how much you need them. Be grateful for that, honestly. And I just want to say thanks guys for tuning in, especially certain friends I haven't seen in a long time. It was great seeing you, and we will talk again soon. Bye from me and from my lovely friend Jeff, who was actually quiet today, which makes a change. So, and I will speak again on Wednesday hopefully, so we will see you then. Bye guys.